Give me a second. All right. Hey, business builders, great to be with you. Really happy to share one of my mentors and somebody who's been inspirational in my life, DJ Harrington. And I just short intro, and I've sent a couple of emails out to everybody about DJ and how I know him. DJ, and already you can see the smile and the energy and the optimism and listening and preparing ahead of time, trying to get to know who a few people are so that he can show up and share his message. I met DJ in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and I had an opportunity to get up and talk on stage for a few minutes in it was a paid thing, right? We were a sponsor of the show, and I got up to talk about the service contract business that we were in. And DJ had been on stage prior to me, and he's actually one of the, I had earlier in my life, I had seen Zig Ziglar and Mary Lou Retton, a couple of motivational speakers, but DJ was one of the first handful of people that did this for a living and traveled on a circuit and spoke to people to teach about leadership and about sales and to be the MC of an event like this one I was at, and generally keep the event moving and flowing and keep everybody in that elevated state while they learned a few things along the way. And DJ had been on stage and he spoke and told a story, which I asked him if he could relate a little bit of this, told a story about his dad being a leader at Bethlehem Steel in Pennsylvania when DJ was growing up. And I really felt a call to leadership when DJ told that story. And he was a solid speaker up front. And so when I went, even though it was this paid thing and it was for a few minutes, you feel some pressure, like you want to do a good job and you want to show up well for your company. And after I got done, I walked off the stage, and DJ, who I'd never met before, said, "Hey, great job, kid." And he hit me on the shoulder, and it was very meaningful. And I carried that with me. And I've been listening to an audiobook about how we collect memories and then we use them when we need them, and we collect affirmations, and they can help us in difficult times. But that was DJ, you did that for me. And then the other thing DJ did is he handed out, I think it was the subsequent time when I saw him, he handed out a stone to everybody. It wasn't this stone, it was a different one. He handed out a stone and he said, "Just remember, when you have your stone, if you have your stone, you're never alone. DJ's with you." And I kept that stone in my desk drawer, and we wanted a speaker for our national sales meeting. And I had that stone in there, and I thought, that guy, maybe I can hire him. Maybe he would come speak to our people. And he did. He came, and there was about, I don't know, 45, 50 of us in a room in Florida. And he came, and he was funny, and he shared tips for selling, but also shared this message of positivity and presence. And ever since then, just whenever I see DJ, it always lights me up. And to see him in his cardiologist outfit, etc. And I love all of you, Business Builder Camp, and I wanted to share DJ and his message with you today. So that's where we start.
All right, so I can go down the line. I got some great tips for Scott. I got some great tips for my buddy Pete. But I want you to note, Kane, in the heating air conditioning business, some of the stuff you'll say I could use. But her name's Tia, right? The advertising lady. Tia. Yep. I do all these type of things, and a doctor neighbor of mine came over. I used to send shoes out that says, "Now that I have one foot in the door, let's talk about the other." And I would mail him a shoe. And in heating and air conditioning business, you would put candies in the dish, like Tootsie Rolls or something, and you hand a little dish out. But this was a little foot. Can you see this? I got cheap now, Pete, because I wanted to save money. So what happened is, instead of sending the shoe that cost more in the postage, I went to a jewelry store. This is a prop they use in the jewelry business for toe rings. And it's a foot. And you can buy them for $15 for a dozen. You know, it's matter of fact, this whole pack is there's 36. I think I paid $8 from a jewelry store. And now that I have one foot in the door, let's talk about the other. But my neighbor, the dentist, I got a fake $1 million bill. And I stapled it to a letter, and I wrote the letter to talk about, I wanted you to open up our letter from our dental office because we want to show you the $1 million smile. And it pertained to the $1 million smile. They have candies now that are $1 million smile candies. So it's one of those things where when you're there, you want them to think about what else can this doctor do for me other than fix my filling. They can actually give me $1 million smile. It takes 7 muscles to smile and 28 to frown. So don't be caught working overtime. Lighten up a little bit. Don't make fun of yourself. So I have these things. I have pacifiers. Now, Scott, who does the angel investing, he probably could use these. Now, these are pacifiers. They're at the dollar store. You can get 3 or 4 of them for $1. And in Canada, they call them smoothies, but they're pacifiers for whiners. So when you're talking to your investing people or you're talking to your new entrepreneurs, you can say, it's an attitude of gratitude. So you could either be the whiner, or a winner. It's up to yourself, either way. But I use props, and I want to show you something. Thea, it's a can. And I want you to know that this was at one time a Campbell soup, large family size can. We ate the contents, and I went to the dollar store, bought googly eyes, put them on the side of the can, and you could put pencils in it at the desk of the dentist. And when people say, what is it? It's an eye can. I can make you smile. I can give you that finished look. I can give you that thing. So just like in entrepreneurs, it's an I can attitude. The reason why I was talking to Pete is, Pete, you have so many people that are going through frustration of working out and being physically fit. But if they had an I can get up 15 minutes early to walk. I can. And I sympathize with you, Pete. I wear a full brace. I wear 40-pound stockings on my legs. I have a magnetic bed I sleep on. And a book that we all should be reading is Tony Robbins' new book on life force. It's about how to become healthy in this environment without having surgery. But if you have surgery, what are the benefits after it? So it kind of teaches you all of these things. And so physical therapy like Susie does, Life Force it would be a great book for her. There's a lot of good books. So there's the I can. You got to have I can attitude. Now that I have one foot in the door, I have tried everything. I have socks that says, we'll knock your sock off. And we mail one sock to the person. And when they get the sock, it says, we'll knock your socks off. And they go, what in the world? They call back for the other sock. But I have to show you, I laid one aside here for you. You're all gonna laugh when you see this, because you're gonna say, DJ, that's a little bit out of the realm. I brought, at least I thought I brought it with me. I guess I didn't. I hold an X-ray up to tell people I took an X-ray of them. So a lot of times, Pete, when you're talking to somebody who's going through physical therapy and all, or trying to get back in health, you actually have an X-ray. Now, in the dental office, they have plenty of X-rays. So you don't have to go out and buy these. There's plenty of them. But it's an X-ray on the business. My whole thing was, how do we get the person to think outside the box? And as all of us are leaders, I have a saying for you. It's not our disposition. It's our disposition, not our position, that leads to success. It's your disposition, not your position. So you might be president or head of advertising, but it's an attitude of gratitude. It's how you relate to the other person. So I don't know how many of you, I tell people to read books. How many of you have ever read Green Eggs and Ham? I've got Pete's raised his hand. Kane, have you ever read Green Eggs and Ham, even to a grandchild? Now get ready. In this book, and Susie, I'm holding up the book, so you're on the phone. I'm holding up Green Eggs and Ham. In this book, there's 13 closes for customer service. This would be a great book to share with your dental offices, because in the book it says, do you like green eggs and ham? He says, no, I don't like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam, I am. Then he says, would you like it in a house? No. Would you like it with a mouse? No. Would you like it? I don't like them in a house. I don't like them with a mouse. I don't like them here. I don't like them there. I don't like them anywhere. I do like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam, I am. First of all, it said, I'm Sam, as I am. You should be proud. You should be proud you're in your business. At the end of this book, the best part of this whole book, I'm glad I'm holding this up. I got a check in here. I better hold this off. It might be an old check, Wayne. At the end of the book, I so do like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam, I am. We asked 13 different times, would they try it? And I think sometimes when you're approaching people like a dentist, to try to think outside the box, or to try to think how important the person answering their phone is in the whole business. It's not the high clean technician. It's not that sharp person. It's the person who answers the very first picture they see of your business is through their ear. What are they seeing? What are they hearing? And Kane, in your business, it's that person who answers the phone. Is it a mean, nasty person? You know, the person who's calling you already got a heating and air conditioning problem. And now they get a mean, nasty person, the Wicked Witch of the West, you know, on the other end of the phone, instead of saying, hey, we'll be out there. There is no, we're 24-hour service. We'll be there to help you. That's our job. And don't worry about it. We'll make it pre-conditioned. We'll make it best of all. So words matter. So out of all of this, I started thinking of some of the new stuff that comes along that maybe I could share with you guys. And Wayne had asked me, Wayne, I got to tell you, this is the book, Mark, and I'll show you here. Wayne, I've passed out, because I sell books. That's why and I tell people about books. So my bookmark is my business card. And it says DJ Harrington's been on CBS News, Fox, ABC, NBC. And I got on because of the I can't. That's how I got on. Well, the back of the card says this. And Wayne, I'll send you a stack of them. So at your next camp meeting in Pennsylvania, you can actually hand them out to everybody. It says at day's end. Now I know it by heart. So is anyone happy because you passed his way? Does anyone remember you spoke to him today? The day is almost over and the toiling time is through. Is there anyone to utter now a kindly word of you? Can you say tonight in parting with the day that's slipping fast that you helped the single brother of the many that you passed? Is the single heart rejoicing over what you did or said? Does the man whose hopes were fading now with courage look ahead? Did you waste a day or lose it? Was it well or sorely spent? Did you leave a trail of kindness or a scar of discontent? As you close your eyes in slumber, do you think that God will say, you have earned one more tomorrow by the work you did today? So that's the card. And I'll send a stack of them to you, Wayne, and then you can hand them out. And then one of my books, this one here, Susie, it's called Your Prescription for Life. And on the back of the book, it says, Prescription for Life. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, because it becomes your destiny. And so I would tell fellow speakers, you can drink if you want, but drink at home. Don't drink on the job when you're out at a convention. And I don't. Mohawk Carpet, I spoke for Mohawk Carpet 17 years. They thought I was a teetotaler because I never had a drink at their conventions. 17 different times I spoke at Mohawk Carpet. They never knew, but I thoroughly enjoy a beer with pizza or a glass of wine. I'm not a big drinker, but I'm human, and you come across that way, but you got to be the right person. We were selling our home this past year, big house, 6,000 square foot home, 4-car garage. It's a big home. And just my wife and I, a little dog. We don't need a big house like that. The guy who came to do the building inspecting, Kane, had beer on his breath. And there was an extra air conditioner that went to my library above the second garage. And the guy said, I needed to remove the air conditioner for the new family coming in because he didn't think it was useful. So I said to him, have you been drinking? And he goes, no. I said, sir, this air conditioning unit goes to the library above the second garage. Oh, I better take that off my report. And I thought to myself, why would you even show up with beer on your breath? It's terrible. So those are the kind of things. People will know you. Now, I told Wayne earlier, my dad was vice president of Bethlehem Steel. And I have to share this with all of you. I'm a teenager at the time. I'm maybe 12, 13 years old. My dad is explaining to me how these gigantic steamships leave the New York harbor to go out to sea. And he starts showing me the 3 little tugboats that are leaving the dock to come out to the steamship. And he said, now, DJ, watch how the tugboat, hugs the steamship and moves you slowly out to sea. And I'm like, what is this? All right, Dad, I'll watch. And he said, now watch the tugboat. It doesn't slam into the ship. It snuggles up to the big ship and gradually moves you out to sea. This little tugboat, there's 3 of them, moved this gigantic steamship liner out into the middle of the ocean. What he said to me is leadership is the same way. When you own a little business, small business, and I know about it. My family started with 3 employees and now has 250 employees in New Jersey as one of the largest Irish construction companies in the whole state. They did it slowly. My daughter and son-in-law had 3, and Kane, they do restoration. They do, if you have water damage or smoke damage from a fire in a home, they do restoration. So they started with 3 trucks, and now they have 23 actually altogether. But State Farm Insurance took them from one office, and they had to build a second office, and then last year a 3rd office. So in the Atlanta market, they're the largest State Farm restoration people. And they did it through integrity, ethics, and morals. My dad taught my father. I'm one of 12 children. When my father had 8 children, he could not afford to be a school teacher. So he had to go to work, real work. So he went to Bethlehem Steel as a steel plate fitter. It was the best paying job. So on Tuesday nights and on Thursday nights, my father taught math on Tuesdays and English on Thursdays on the docks of New York. My grandfather immigrated from Ireland and did the scaffolding at the Empire State Building. Well, My dad had gone to college, graduate school, become a teacher. One of his students was brought into Bethlehem Steel, and the man said to him, who's interviewing him, said, where'd you learn all this math? And the guy said, from Bill Harrington on Tuesday nights. And on Thursday nights, he teaches English to everybody so they can pass their CD, that high school equivalency test they have in New York. So they then called my father, who was a steel plate fitter, and said, would you consider being an estimator for Bethlehem Steel? Well, my father had a master's degree in math. Of course he could. So he became an estimator. 7 years later, my father was the vice president of Bethlehem Steel. The Andrea Dory and Stockholm were two gigantic ships that collided, and they had to go to South America to do the evaluation and the cost estimate for repair. All 11 people came back, all men. There was all men on this team, no women, and they all submitted their expenses. My father got called in because he was the only one that had low expenses. And they said, well, Mr. Harrington, why didn't you charge for this and charge for that? He said, well, I didn't have that. And then when they investigated the other people had padded their expenses. And the vice president of Bethlehem Steel, overestimating, had a heart attack 3 months later. And the board of directors thought, who could we have to come in and be vice president of Bethlehem Steel? And they picked my dad. And one day, my dad laid off 1,116 people. And I was in high school at the time. And this is the story Wayne remembers, because I'm running around the United States, Australia, Canada. I've spoken in 6 different countries, trying to hire 1,116 people. I am doing what my father had laid off. I'm running around saying, okay, how can I get you? Just like Scott being an angel investor. I love it because this is a person who can invest money. And then at the time, he can plant seeds little by little, like, what about Bobby? Small steps, baby steps. And it's baby steps in doing all this. So a lot of times you get disappointed because days didn't work out right, but you have to do a reevaluation at nighttime. I get up in the morning. I'm really happy. I have an attitude of gratitude. I've had 3 back surgeries. So Pete, I understand about your hip. And the first 2 surgeries were little tiny incisions on my back. And the last time the guy opened me up like a watermelon to cut nerves in my left leg. But I can share with all of you, I have 0 pain now, Pete, because the nerve damage I had in my leg, he took care of it. So that's why I am a whole lot better. But it's when people meet you, they always say, I wonder what kind of lifestyle this guy's gone through. I had a brother, an astronaut, who's passed away. He died right behind Gus Grissom. I have 2 brothers that graduated the Naval Academy. I'm one of 12 children. The oldest brother never finished high school, but he was the wealthiest. You get that? The one who never finished high school was the wealthiest and left every one of his children millionaires, and their children now will be millionaires. They and you have, Wayne, I know you have a guy that helps you with financial decisions in your businesses. And each and every one of us should have somebody to help you. My brother hired a guy, and they own part of Waste Management in New Jersey. And my brother, typical Irish guy, said, we'll have my oldest son ahead of Harrington Construction. And the consultant comes in, the financial guy goes, whoa, 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 stop. You hired me to give you my evaluation of your children. Let me share with you something. Your oldest boy could not lead in silent prayer. He doesn't have the skills. He doesn't have the ability. He is real good running out trucks for Waste Management. but he doesn't have the people skills. Your second son is perfect. He has a big heart. He's caring. He knows everybody's name, their children's name, what they drive, what school they go to, what faith they belong to. My father, if you were a Mormon, my father would ask you out for Monday night to come to a business meeting. And then if the Mormon said yes, my father never hired a guy, because the Mormon church, they have family night on Monday nights. Just like if you were Catholic, my father would ask you, would you like to go eat a steak dinner on Fridays? That's way back then. They let people not eat steak, during Lent for Catholics. So my father would invite somebody and actually test them to see what their faith meant to them, if it meant anything. People look at you and say, do you live what you say you're going to do? Because they watch you. They watch if you really believe in your advertising. They watch if you believe in people skills. They watch if your trucks came, if you guys get out of your truck and the cab of the truck looks messed up, or they don't have a button-down shirt or a professional look about them, then the person they call on in their home, or they don't put those little thing on their feet when they're going into somebody's home. The person knows whether you really care about it or not. They know. I had an air conditioning guy come and do some work on the house. We moved from this gigantic home. Now I'm 3 minutes from my daughter. And my daughter is 3 minutes away. And as you get older, you always want to be as close to a loved one as you can. But I want you to know, it's the little things in life that's going to come back at you. I ask people, how many have you ever got bit by a mosquito? And everybody says, I have. How many ever got bit by an elephant? Nobody. You know why? It's the little things that bite you. It's the little things of somebody not putting the tools back in the truck that were on the truck. It's the Freon that was on that truck last night that ain't on that truck today. Then you sit back and go, okay. So in our business, I have to do salvage companies and towing companies. And every time I go to a company, like I did FedEx, and I've done Federal Express. Matter of fact, here's the FedEx box. And Wayne, this would be a good one. I ask people, can you tell me where the arrow is in FedEx? Anybody see it?
Yeah.
Right here. It's between the E and the X. Okay, now, where is the spoon in FedEx? Right on the bottom of the E. It's a spoon. Well, people sit there and they go, why would you do that? Well, it's the little things, because you want people to be observant. They're observant when someone shows up and the truck looks like it's been in World War III. And then you're going to let them come into your home and do work. Or if they didn't take a shower last night and they still have the smell of yesterday's mildew on them from something that happened. I think in a dental office, one of the biggest things, Tia, I did hospital evaluations. And I did all the Baptist hospital chain. I would walk in and take pictures of the front door of the hospitals. If they weren't clean, why would I think the hospital would be clean? And then you look up and the light bulbs are missing in the lobby of the hospital. If they can't fix their own light bulbs, are they going to be able to fix my loved one? So in a dental office, it's the same way. Are the windows clean? Does it have a clean environment? Does it look like this is the guy I can trust after he puts me to sleep and, puts oxygen on me or whatever they do now? It's one of those things that sits back and says, well, what do we do?
Hey,
it's
DJ.
The people skills. Now, Wayne, what do you want to ask me?
I'm gonna slow you down a little bit. So your dad, you grew up in this house with all these kids, and dad is a works at Bethlehem Steel and is a leader. And you, in your work life, and the way that I know you is you've been a speaker at these conventions. And I want to set some of this because maybe people have questions so that we can get a little bit of dialogue.
Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah, so you've done, you speak at these, when you would speak at Independent Auto Dealer Association meetings, or when you would speak at salvage, because another big group that you've served repetitively is the salvage industry. People that, we tend to think of them as junkyards, but there's a lot
Yes.
of valuable work in the world and a lot of jobs that are created there in a salvage business. I think towing, things like that you've done. What are what are some of the topics that you've taught people in those industries? Because those industries are not dissimilar to industries that Casey is marketing for example, and they're most small businesses have a lot in common. So they've got 20 employees in her office, plus the dental offices have employees. What are some of the topics that you've taught those groups about?
I had to do everything from phone skills training, where you book appointment a quarter before the hour, a quarter after the hour. 42% of people remember, and quarter after or a quarter before. A dentist's office already sets appointments at a quarter after the hour. Hopefully they do, because more people will remember them. They use their left ear at a switchboard. So the switchboard operator, if you have a left ear, if the stroke occurred, a stroke occurred and it affected the left side of your face, stroke actually occurred in your right brain. They're crisscross. So feeling and emotion. So hold your phone in the left ear. Left ear comes off your right brain. And that's feeling and emotion side. When I answer the phone, so the fourth thing is I always say, thank you for calling. And when I get off the phone, and I never say good morning, good afternoon. You say, thanks for calling ABC Motors, or thank you for calling such and such air conditioning, heating, or thanks for calling, Pete's business. It's how you make an image. So those things. The other thing that's really weird, Wayne, today people embezzle when they see a lot of money coming through. So the person who does the checkbook in a small business should not be the person who audits the checkbook account at the end of the month. It should be a separate person. In the salvage industry, there is a lot of money that is actually embezzled by somebody else doing the books. So you sit there, and even though the person might be the everyday bookkeeper, she's not the one who reconciles the checkbook. Someone else does. A lot of times you own a small business, all the checks should be mailed to the owner. And if I was Scott and I was doing angel investment, I'd have a copy of stuff, because a lot of happens is financially, it's just poor workmanship where somebody's not thinking ahead of time. People coming late to work. In the salvage business, I hate to tell you, people steal. Catalytic converters today are worth $150 to $380. And in a salvage yard, they take the catalytic converter and they throw it away in a box. But there's no security on the box. So evidently, sometime during the day, people take their lunch bucket over, pick up a catalytic converter, put it up, and it's in their car that night, and they just made an extra $380 by bootlegging a catalytic converter. So it's watching people on the job site. It is terrible. I think coming in late in the mornings, or finding out what really was the cause of them not being at a meeting. If they have an employee meeting on Monday mornings, everybody should be there. And maybe there should be a policy that 5 minutes after the meeting starts, we close the door. And that employee knows he's going home that day. But it's so hard today because we need every person that's coming to work. So a lot of times you turn your head. I spoke at Outback Steakhouse, Wayne, and in the meeting, their chef was stealing 4 steaks a week. Every week, they stole 4 steaks. And the owner of that Outback Steakhouse said to me, I let it go on because I need him as a chef. But all the other employees knew he was stealing. So the guy working the bar, he took wine home because he knew the manager let the chef take 4 steaks home. And when theft goes on inside a small business, everybody knows. I had to go and let somebody go. When I let someone go, I actually say to them, you can work, but you can't work here. You can work somewhere else. And I let them leave. And you try to document everything because today you don't know if they come back. So you document all their past records and you keep documentation of why the disciplinary action occurred and then keep record of it. But a lot of times,
So,
yeah.
so when you started off, you went through a series of some fun things that you had developed over the years when you were building your coaching and training business, things like the foot in the door. And so part of your message that I'm getting out of this is there's the creativity and willingness to sometimes get people's attention, even if they might think, wow, that guy's kind of a Looney Tunes whack job.
Yep.
It's still, you can get people's attention by foot in the door. Let me get in the other one. I remember you had a fax that you showed my sales team that said something like, I talked to God this morning, but I can't get too much with you.
And I thought I brought one with me, but evidently I didn't. Oh yeah. Wait a minute, maybe I did. Yeah, I did. Let me show you. Now, this is how gigantic it is. You know those little pink slips that says while you are out?
Yeah.
And they leave a message. It's an old type of form you leave behind the desk. Well, I had a gigantic one made. And this one's, 6 by 8. And it says, while you were out, Mr. and Mrs. Gold. And the message I put on it. Now, here's the difference. I used to send this to people. And now you could send the fax or you scan it and you send it electronically. And on the bottom, I wrote, I spoke to God this morning. Why can't I talk to you? For people who don't return my calls. And it's amazing how many people will return your call once they get one of these. And I can send you one of these when I send the business cards to you. So you'll have a sample of one to send out to everybody. And when I first did Jaguar, I did every BMW store in Europe because of this. The wealthier the family, the wealthier, they loved it. So you're selling Jaguars or Mercedes-Benz, they love it. I spoke to God this morning. Why can't I talk to you? They instantly pick up the phone and call you. And then they say, hey, do you have an extra copy of that? I like to send it to people who don't return my call. And that's for a fellow business owner or a fellow banker. But yeah, Wayne, I use humor because a lot of times when I start speaking, the person in the audience, not everyone loves DJ Harrington. They sit there and say, what's this crazy cardiologist going to teach us? And he's an old man and this kind of thing. Well, little by little, I chip away at them. And so they'll sit back and they'll think, you know what? I should remember to book an appointment quarter after the hour. That makes sense. Or it's a whole lot better than saying bye-bye on the phone, like at a doctor's office, instead of saying, thanks for thinking, Dr. McGuire. Thanks for thinking, Kane's Heating and Air. Thanks for thinking, Pete's coaching program. It's thanks for thinking, because if they're thinking about a dentist, I want them to think about my dentist. If they're thinking about heating and air, I want them to think about Kane's business. So you leave the thought, just like when you get off the phone with your loved ones, you got a kid in college. I never got off the phone without saying to my daughter, I love you. I text all the time today. And I text, I love you. Love dad. Love grandpa. I text. And people take texts better than they do emails. So that's just like some guy asked me, because in the salvage business, a lot of them are owned by Jewish owners. I don't send Christmas cards to no one. I send a Thanksgiving Day card. And my biggest client, Chevrolet, in California, I'm out there, gigantic, Ellis Brooks, gigantic store, 38 salespeople. And Wayne, they spoke 16 different languages. So I asked all the salespeople and the people in the service, how do you say Thanksgiving in Polish? How do you say Thanksgiving in German? How do you say Thanksgiving in French? How do you? And so on their card, we said, Happy Thanksgiving from Ellisbrook Chevrolet. And in 16 different languages, it said Happy Thanksgiving. And at the bottom of the card, we wrote, at Ellis Chevrolet, we speak your language. And it's a great way of doing it. And all of a sudden, now you don't send a Thanksgiving, you don't send a Christmas card because they just scotch tape it and put it on the wall, along with they should send one. So you send a Thanksgiving Day card. It's the first holiday card of the season. So it's a Thanksgiving Day card. But it's that kind of stuff. But Wayne, once you get into the guy's business, then he wants to talk to you about his son that goofs off during the job. So I read 7 different books about family-owned businesses. And then I outlined the books and gave the book to the father and said, the next time you chastise your son, do it privately. So you chastised your son in front of the workforce today, and they all think he's a jerk because you called him a jerk. But he's the leader after you pass on.
So practically, because I think I understand some of this and other people wouldn't. You built your business doing speaking at these groups, and then you would go to BMW in Europe, for example, or a Chevrolet store in California, and help their people with phone skills and help them be a presence in their life and help them be more optimistic, help them think about attitude of gratitude, make eye cans with people. Even I made eye cans with my kids after I saw you do that. And adults sometimes like to, I don't know if Kane's gonna have craft time, although Kane does some really unique things in his business with technicians and people that are out in the field in the vans with thinking about gratitude or mission or at Thanksgiving. I think Kane, right? You actually did some things like that, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. We do drives around here at times. We're actually kicking off another one now for the month of July where we help out a local mission. We get everybody here involved in collecting for them.
It's amazing. I feed the homeless. My sister Patty feeds the homeless in St. Petersburg, Florida. And when I first started doing the cans, I needed empty cans for me to go and talk to put the googly eyes on. So I went to soup kitchens to feed the homeless in Fort Myers, Florida. And people who never went to church would reach in their pocket to give me $100 or $200 to go buy soup. And Tia, you're going to get a kick out of this. I thought everybody would love chicken noodle soup. So when I go to the soup kitchen, Kane, I brought 300 cans of chicken noodle soup. And I want you to know, Tia, chicken noodle soup is less expensive than what they wanted. So the lady there says to me, Dr. Harrington, could you give me cream of mushroom soup? What? How about chicken noodle? And she goes, no, next time, could you bring me cream of mushroom soup? And I said, yeah, okay. I thought it would be cheaper. But when I went to buy the 300 cream of mushroom soups, they're actually 3.5 cents more per can. And she could use leftover string beans, leftover vegetables for another meal. So cream of mushroom soup was the soup of the soup kitchens. So from then on, every time I go down there, I carry soup cans with me. And it's kind of funny because Fox Television went to the soup place to verify my story. And they held up my card and they said to the lady, "Do you know this guy?" And she said, "I don't, he's a doctor?" And he goes, "No, he thinks he's a doctor, but he ain't a doctor. He plays a doctor, but he ain't a doctor. He does a checkup from the neck up. That's what he does." And the lady goes, "Yeah, he's here every month bringing me cream of mushroom soup." The first time I brought chicken noodle. But Kane, if you do that, I'm going to tell you something else. Now that I got into all these businesses, if you did something for animals, I'm serious with you. I cannot believe we did at a Chrysler store, bring in leftover food for dogs, leftover food for cats. The place was packed. And in the salvage business, so you'll all know, my biggest event, we had over a prime truck loaded with leftover fishing poles that were left in salvage cars at the places of business. See, I do salvage yards, like Wayne said, junkyards, but they're called salvage centers. And the salvage people would go through and there would be tools left in the truck, fishing tools. So we have a guy that actually does that. He actually refurbishes fishing poles to give to children that don't have parents. He takes them out fishing. They use the pole for the day. They use their little tackle box. And at the end of the day, the kids think they're going to return the pole in the tackle box to the guy. And he goes, "No, it's our gift to you. I want you to remember the event of fishing and having a good time today out in the water." And so the young boy or girl who doesn't have a parent actually goes home with the fishing rod. But Kane, anything you do, what else do you do? I mean, I would love to hear about it.
I mean, for the local mission and the soup kitchen, that's it. Like it started to center around the holidays, and then we were expanding it, year round, because around the holidays they really get all the help that they need. It's the rest of the year that they don't have. They don't have, the bulk donations and the support that they really need. So
I have been real blessed in life, and I'm in a store one day, and and the guy says, in 1 hour, he's on a PA, he goes, in 1 hour, all those winter coats are going to be $20 each. And so I walk over to the guy and I said, "All of them are going to be $20 each in an hour? Well, what if I give you $20 each right now?" He said, "What are you going to do with them?" I said, "I'm going to go down to everybody who's sleeping on a park bench here in Atlanta. It's wintertime. And I said, I'm going to give them out to people who are sleeping on park benches." The guy had 42 coats. He sold me 20 and gave me the other 22 as a gift because of what I was going to do with them. The same thing. I had a family that got burnt out. So I would go into the store and I asked for 2 beds, twin beds, and I asked for 1 or 2 other items. And the guy who owned the store said, "What are you doing with them?" I said, "Well, that family that got burnt out last week, I found out the kids are sleeping on the floor, sleeping bags. I'm going to buy beds for them." He said, "I'll throw in some dressers." And he delivered them. And people want to help you. If people know you're doing something, like at a dentist's office, if they're doing a charity drive, like bring in a can of food for the homeless and get a free x-ray, you're not going to believe how many people bring in, or diapers for children that need diapers. It's amazing the generosity of people, and they love, and I don't know, Tia, if you have your dentist, one in Florida, in Sarasota, Florida, they have a weekend where all the dentists get together, and people who can't afford a dentist stand in line, they get their x-ray done, and a professional top-notch doctor does their teeth. Because these are all poor people. And I've helped out there. My heart's in the right spot. I just, and Wayne, what happens, once I get into business, the owner then tells me about his troubles, things that keep him up at night. And then you sit there and say, well, okay, so let's talk about how you address your kid in front of everybody. And then we talk about that. And then he'll listen a little bit. But until they're hurting, some people don't listen. That's why I hope Scott looks at this again, because when you're an angel investor, you have an opportunity to have somebody's ear, and you can coach them a little bit more because you're investing in them. So all of a sudden now he's there and he's coaching them. And then because of his investment, I did a restaurant. I invested in a restaurant here. And because I invested, he listened to me. And I washed dishes on weekends with him. The dishwasher didn't show up, and I did. So I washed the dishes. And he loved it. But it's being yourself and saying, okay, what would I have done? You know, I've cleaned restrooms, you know, but I've done all sorts of things in life, you know, and I've been real blessed. I made a good living. So, and that's why I got the jackets game. I was just in the right place at the right time. But I think I have to tell all of you, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's a hint. We should do twice the amount of listening. So if we listen more to our customer, we'll actually learn more from everybody. And the only other thing I wrote down, Wayne, I want to tell all of you, write down ID10T. And Kane, the reason why I'm teaching a class, and write down ID, the number 10T. You see what it spells?
Yeah.
Idiot. Well, Tia, when I have an idiot on the phone, I actually say, we have an ID10T on line 3, ID10T on line 3. The person who picks up the phone starts laughing. We know he's a jerk, but he's our customer. So he ain't a jerk. We're going to make money from him. So ID10T. But that was the only other thing I wrote down that I wanted to make sure before I got off the phone that I wanted you guys to know. Sometimes it's nice to say, you know, if one of your people, Kane, is the person's just left their house, and he can actually say over the phone, hey, Kane, I had an ID10T just now. And it's a code word between you guys that says we had an idiot, but the idiot pays us. And the idiot's our customer. And the idiot is who pays our bills and takes care of our people. So yeah, he's an ID10T, but he's our customer. And the customer's right, no matter what. All right, what's the next question you want, Wayne?
Do any of you has this any questions or any place to go here? Anything you want to talk about?
And Tia, I thank you for staying because that was very kind of you. I knew you had to get going.
Yeah, no problem. I'm good.
In a dentist's office, you know, do you only do dentist offices?
Yep, just dental marketing.
Just dental marketing.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so many things today because one dentist wants to outdo the other dentist, you know, and what do you do that's politically correct? You don't want to get in politics. You don't want to get in anything religious. So that's the reason why a Thanksgiving Day card is a whole lot better than a Christmas card. That way nobody's offended. And there's things that a dentist can do that helps people. And a lot of times the person coming in don't know if they could get financing. They don't know.
Mhm.
I had a Russian guy. I had a $1,700 bridge on the side of my mouth, and it would keep breaking. And I went to a Russian doctor, and he was very kind to me. And he said, DJ, I can do this, maybe 2 more times. But you're going to have to get it replaced. And of course, the replacing of the 1,700 is now almost $3,000 because I had it done many years ago. I'm an old man. I tell people I served at the Last Supper, but it's one of these things where a dentist's office has so much of how they care to you as a person. That's why I want you to know you're in the dental business, but you're really in the people business.
Mhm.
We're in
Yeah.
the dental business, but we're really in the people business. And Kane
So-
might be in heating and air, but he's really in the people business because it's people. It's people that are going to refer us to the next person. I love when we have one dentist that I called on the phone. It was on a weekend. And I said, Doc, this is DJ Harrington. He said, did your bridge fall out of your mouth? I said, no. My neighbor, who's vice president of Mohawk Carpet, just broke his tooth. And his daughter's getting married. He went, what? No. I said, yeah. We're at this rehearsal dinner, and he just broke his tooth. He said, how far away are you from my office? I said, maybe 45 minutes. He said, in 1 hour, meet me there. On a Friday night, he worked on the vice president of Mohawk, not because he was vice president of Mohawk now. He did it because he was a friend of mine. And now this man has told everybody at the wedding, he told everybody that he knows, the only doctor he goes to is Dr. Zimmerman, because Dr. Zimmerman took care of his personal problem. His daughter was getting married the next day. And he would look terrible without it,
Yeah.
So
All right, Wayne.
Tia is primarily looking for dentists that Tia needs to get her foot in the door with the right kind of dentist so that they can then do the marketing for those dentists. Kane is working in particular to build a culture and a system that attracts the best, brightest workers in his area of Connecticut. So they're both doing sales and marketing, but for different types of like targets or people that they're looking to attract. Is that
Right.
close, Tia? Did you have a question, Tia, based on that?
No, I'm good.
Now, Tia, do you go to all the dental association meetings and all of that stuff?
No, not all of them. I mean, we definitely go to some, but not all of them.
Does it matter what is the geographical area that you want to cover?
No, we are all over the US. And I mean, we've been doing it for 21 years. So we've kind of figured out which events tend to be
Yes, you know which
more
ones. Yes,
effective.
just like an
Right.
automobile. Yeah,
Right.
automobile
Better
business.
leads and kind of get us to the decision maker versus like the office staff and things like that. So we do maybe 10 to 12 events a year.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good. That's a good amount, though.
Yeah.
See, those are the people. I'm just going to tell you, we have a referral program that if a dentist refers a fellow dentist, they get a special. And so the referral program to participate in the network
Mhm.
and is compensated back to the dental office who referred them.
Yeah.
So it's like a finder's program type of thing.
Yeah.
Just like at Kane, if he has an employee who finds another employee, Kane, do you give a special to an employee for finding another good employee that stays more than 90 days?
Yeah, we do.
See, those are the kind of things that are important. In the South here, Kane, I hate to tell you, they're using signing bonuses. If you are an electrician or you're an air conditioning specialist, they have a signing bonus now besides over money.
Yeah.
Because they're so desperate in the South, needing people.
Yeah, it's the same up here too. I'm doing the same thing.
Wow. Yeah, my family, a lot of them are Portuguese that work for them because they're in construction. So it's a little different. But they have a program within their own company that if a person brings in a fellow, one of their cousins or nephews or whatever to work for the Harrington construction, they get paid a third, and third. So after 60 days, they get a third. They get a check, 1/3 of the check when the guy starts work. They get a third of the check 60 days later. And then after 90 days, they get another check. So the relative stays with that employee, holding his hand the 90 days doing the acclimation because he didn't get all his money up front. You hate when they pay him all up front and then they say, see you later. God. But they actually work with them over a period of time. And those are the ones that really work out to be the best. The ones that attract another person to come and work for them. But it's hard to get good people. That's the other thing.
Yeah, it takes work. It takes hard
Yeah,
work to attract good people.
Yeah, I'm active in a church. I was raised Catholic, go to a Baptist church, and Tia, you'll love this one. I have a stem cells in my right leg from a Mormon. So I got a Mormon in my leg. I went to a Catholic church and now I go to a Baptist church. So I'm covered no matter what. But the stem cells in my leg, that guy actually hires other people and gives them an employee bonus. And that person has to shadow the person they bring in. And so it's been the same way. It's I go to church functions and actually tell the person, I'm looking for a heating and air conditioning guy. Do you know anybody? Or do you have a relative that, yeah, I might. And now you got other people looking. I call them ambassadors. They're ambassadors for me, helping me find more good people. And then start an ambassador club. Let everybody know if you belong to Kiwanis or, whatever. Let them know you're trying to hire good people, that your business is growing so much. We want good people. And a lot of times your customer knows somebody. So we let the customer know. If you know anybody, a relative who just came out of trade school, or in the body shop business, Wayne, in California, do you know that these companies that hired me to go to the trade schools to speak on their behalf. So when they leave trade school, they come to them. And there's maybe another way, Kane, of doing something at the trade school. So when they come out of trade school, they think of you.
That's interesting to have an ambassador club, have the hand. Kane has enough people. He has 72-ish people. Last time I remember you giving a number. In 72 people, that's enough to find 5 or 6 people that want to be part of the ambassador club, who then get together and get something special for being the particular ones who love being out in the community and spreading the word about Alliance.
Yep.
So that's kind of interesting. Scott,
I even got little ribbons that say ambassador on it. So when they go to a Kiwanis meeting or they go to, a Chamber of Commerce meeting, it says ambassador. And they go, what are you an ambassador for? And then when they tell them, we're looking for good heating and air conditioning people, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. People want to help each other.
Nice. And Tia has an ambassador club of consultants who refer them into dentists as well. Scott is Scott, the angel investor, who is he's in our community. This is a way of saying he's older than some of the other people in the group, but Scott had this business, grew it, sold it, and now does this angel investing and coaching, and also serves as quite an example for us of just living a full life and seeking joy in life. Scott has had some health challenges recently, and then tells us all about how he's out playing 2 rounds of golf and going to the camp of his youth in Ohio and traveling. So I just want to, Scott, anything you wanted to say, or any questions or anything, and you're on mute just in case.
No, thank you. I've enjoyed this. Yeah, and you get to a point in life where you look for some balance, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just looking for the balance. I still enjoy working. I still enjoy making a difference in people's lives, and and being important. But I also enjoy my time to myself, and that's what's important to me right now. Being with my wife, being with my dog, with my kids, and being active. So.
Well, I think what you're doing, Scott, being an angel investor is real important.
And he
I
coaches them. He coaches them also.
I love it.
Officially. Yeah.
I think it's important because they're more apt to listen to him because of his success. That's what happens.
Yeah.
People want to see somebody successful. It's just like when I never knew about Google and someone Googled my home, Wayne, and I didn't know what Google Earth was. And I thought it was a spy. And then some guy actually took a picture of my home. Oh, I went through the roof, Scott. I didn't know. And I said, what are you doing? That's my home. He said, well, that doesn't look like no double wide to me. And I was joking around. I lived in a double wide in Georgia, and my kids just started wearing shoes. And this guy looked at my home and said, well, it's got to be something. And then I realized, okay, so people can Google you and they see your home and they say, well, if he lives in a home like this, he must be successful somewhere. So that's the way it is. And now I'm more proud of it. I didn't realize it before, but some people assume if you have a nice lifestyle, then they figure, well, you did something right. But Scott, the more people you help in your angel effort, I tip my hat to you because you got a nice look about you, and you could actually go and share with some young person or middle-aged person and say, okay, these are traits you should be looking for.
Kane, DJ just mentioned to Scott about sharing a story and how others want to follow success. And it made me think you need to lean into your story more as you're doing this employee campaign and really be proud of how you came up through the ranks. And just the more you can tell that story, the better. Scott, I feel like I cut you off. I saw your mute button go back on.
No, you didn't. No, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? We're down to the countdown. Did you pick up one or two tips? When I'm finished speaking, Scott, I always ask people, have you picked up one or two tips? Raise your hand, or I start all over again. Thanks, Scott.
What did I curious, what did you because sometimes it's directly what somebody says. And then you notice, like, as I start talking, I'm like thinking, like, well, what does that mean that he sent out those items? So sometimes not the words are exactly what somebody says, but it's what it makes me think about, or what it makes me say to myself, is there any way I'm not being bold like DJ Harrington? Is there any place where I'm not taking a risk, a social risk, and sending out a foot or a green eggs and ham? I forgot about the green eggs and ham and the 13 closes. Yeah. You got to ask for the business. And
this was the book I was going to tell Scott. When he gives a check, see, like when I first bought Home Depot stock and I gave it to my nephew, I put it in this book. It's the #1 high school graduation gift in the United States. It's the #1 college graduation gift. It's the #1 medical gift to give to a doctor. And it's called Oh, the Places You'll Go. And it talks about all the ups and downs and peaks and valleys in life. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, and you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You know what you know, and you're the person who will know, and you're the person who'll decide where to go. And the whole book talks about peaks and valleys, ups and downs of life. And only you know how to deal with the peaks and valleys. But it's a very inexpensive book. how all the places you go by Dr. Seuss. And I would put stock inside the book and give it as a birthday gift or a graduation gift.
So what, Scott, what'd you take out of today?
You know, the one thing that kind of stuck with me is when DJ went and bought the 20 coats to give away, and it's something I need to be more mindful of. You know, not everybody's as fortunate as I. And you know, when I see someone asking for money on the street, I usually will give them some money. But I like that you know, you thought to buy 20 coats, and the person was so moved that it gave you all of his coats.
22, yeah, he gave me all 42 coats.
Yeah.
Nice, thanks. Tier Kane.
I just like what you're talking about with the ambassadors, and you know, I feel like we're sometimes afraid to just ask more, you know, and we do have a good network of consultants that refer to us, but sometimes we don't even think to ask our own clients or ask our clients to make a referral. And it to your point, it's those little things. It's the little extra things that we can do to just help generate more business. So just made a few notes on that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to do some direct mail, so I might get really creative with some of your ideas.
Well, do you want me to send you one of those fake $1 million? It's 1
I
million
get the
bucks.
idea. I get the idea.
I could send you the letter. And Wayne, when I send you the business cards, I'll put a copy of the letter in. I don't mind sharing the letter that we did for the dentist,
Yeah.
Awesome.
along with the $1 million. It's $1 million. It's a fake $1 million. It looks like Monopoly money, you know.
Susie, I saw it sounded like you. were
Yeah,
gonna say-
yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much. DJ, what I really appreciate is how you were just really raw and honest with us. And, you know, maybe this comes from experience, but I think like you're truly authentic to who you were. And I appreciated hearing that, because I think I've been challenged just by some of the things in my industry lately. And it's a good reminder that I need to be myself, and that eventually if I'm being myself and sharing my kindness and who I truly am with others, that it's going to work. So I appreciate everything you shared there.
Now, was that Susie, Wayne?
Yeah, it was.
That's
Yeah,
Susie.
Susie, I'm going to tell you something. The biggest challenge Susie has right now is the state of Colorado. There's so much marijuana use, and they still can drive their vehicle under marijuana and get in the truck to drive Kane to their job site.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest problems they have in California and Colorado right now because of the use of marijuana.
Yeah, there's some big challenges coming down the pipeline with the legalization of that. It's legal here in Connecticut too now.
Oh my.
And
Yeah.
there's currently no way to test anybody and figure out how long it's been in their system, which adds an interest. But it is known to impair, right? So it's an interest that's a whole interesting.
Sure it does. It
That's
impairs.
a whole
And
interesting
now they
piece.
have stuff that you can take prior to going to get tested. So it voids it out, Wayne.
They had that.
Oh,
They
these
had that. They
guys
had that
got
20
the-
years ago. They had that 20 years ago when I was a construction guy in Colorado. Story for another day. Kane, how about? What did you think about today?
I took all kinds of notes, but I'm really going to zero in on that ambassador club thing, like especially the spin that you put on it, Wayne. I wonder how I can put that to good use here, like get real specific with a targeted group of people. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I like the reference about the green eggs and ham, about all the asks, right? And then in the end, he finally gets them to agree to it. So I like
It's
that.
a great book to use at a sales meeting.
Yeah.
I call them team meetings because everybody's in the sales department. And a lot of people think they're not. But you ask people, how many of you are in sales? And the technician never raises his hand.
Yeah,
but he is the #1 salesperson on your team because the consumer looks at him. I've done Mohawk carpet and they have put the carpet in wrong. But because the guy was so nice, they took their sofa and put it over the ripple in the carpet that should have been steamed out. But because of the applicant, the person putting the carpet in was such a nice person, the homeowner didn't want to cause any troubles. So they said, oh, let's just put the sofa over it.
DJ, thanks for coming and sharing your energy and ideas and creativity. I appreciate you.
Well, I treasure our friendship, my friend. I tell you that many times in Texas, but I mean it very sincerely. And I'll tell all your friends, I treasure your friendship.
Well, back at you. And Kane
Okay,
and to everybody who was here, thanks for adding a whole lot to our conversation. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all soon.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
DJ. Nice meeting you.
Same here. Anytime